Hello everyone, it's Allen with Earthglow, and in today's video we're going to be doing a little bit of kind of a studio, do you call this a vlog? Basically I'm going to be making some candles for my fall collection, what I call my Autumnal Glow collection. And as I showed at the beginning of the video, I am using CDN 8 wicks, and those are the wicks that I have been really loving for these tins in general. Sometimes I'll use a CDN 7, but generally a CDN 8. And I use number 7 wax now instead of 464 soy. So I use a bunch of different waxes, but for these particular tins, these are the 8-ounce tins, I'm going to be using number 7 wax and 10% fragrance. So I'm just measuring out my oils. You saw me just do the pumpkin caramel crunch. I saw that one as candy corn. And then I'm also going to be doing some spiced honey and tonka, which is my honey citrine glow candle. It's one of my personal favorites. I absolutely adore this scent. If you guys like that kind of tobacco caramel vibe, this fragrance is so good. And I am measuring the temperature of my wax. Usually I go a little bit above 200 when I'm adding fragrance. And you saw me do it with the infrared thermometer there, but I generally like to use a stick thermometer, but sometimes I'll also use the infrared, but I like to check myself with the stick thermometer. The infrared usually measures a little bit warmer, but it measures the surface temperature, so you always want to make sure you stir before using that. So this pitcher I'm going to be filling with a little bit above 50 ounces of wax, which is how I like to do it. And then I'll add 5 ounces of fragrance oil. Sometimes I'll do 9%, but generally 10% is what I like with this particular wax. You guys can see that my DG Boil has the E3 air light on there. And that basically has been happening so much with this new Generation 2 model. So this is my 4th DG Boil, and I'm not going to get too into it in this video, but stay tuned my future video talking about that. So this one is the Autumn Leaves candle, and this is one of my best sellers and one of my personal favorites. It's a 50-50 of what you just saw there, which is the Autumn Leaves, the Yankee type by Candles and Supplies, and then it also has it also has 50% Leaves by Aztec. So right now you can see I'm using the piston funnel to pour my cauldron candles, and I have found that using the piston funnels in general, and I'll have these linked down below, they're actually sold for things like pancake batter, but I have found in general that using these for candles works super well because you are able to have much more control than you are just with the regular, pouring pitchers. And what I like to do is I will go and fill all of my vessels, and then I'll come back in once I've kind of got them mostly filled, and I will top them off. Now, I was trying something new in this video because normally you guys know I label my candles after I pour them, but just because I've been able to get so much more control where I don't really spill it all, like maybe a drip here and there, but you guys know me, I used to spill all the time. However, with these piston funnels, it's just gotten so much better that I'm actually able to label my candles before I pour the wax, which is insane to me. But this candle I'm doing now, Cauldron, is Straight Patchouli by Candle Science. If you guys have never smelled it, it smells like the most beautiful witch's brew that you've ever smelled. I actually feature that oil in one of my other videos as a beware because it does not smell anything like straight patchouli. It definitely has I would say a lot of cinnamon to it and spice and clove. So I'm just going back through here and topping off all these candles. One thing I will say about the piston funnels is it does help to have a paper towel by you, because sometimes when you're going from one candle to the next, it will drip a little bit. I think I just got lucky when I'm doing this cauldron candle. but it definitely can do that. And I forgot to mention earlier that with the number 7 wax, I generally, after I've stirred in my fragrance, I usually stir it for about a minute. I will pour pretty much right away. I don't wait. This wax sets up much quicker than 464 does. I think 1617 recommends as well that once you mix in your fragrance, pour it straight away. The next thing I'm going to be doing is taking this butane torch and just going in. There can be a little bit of air bubbles I notice with this wax, so it's just a little bit less dense than 464. So I will go in and just on the very lightest setting, get rid of those. So this candle here is the autumn leaves that I am pouring, and you guys, this is probably my single most favorite fall scent. I think we still have, hopefully at the time of this video, a few of these on the website. I'll have our site linked in the description so that you all are able to take advantage of my final restock of our Autumnal Glow collection. So yeah, 186. That's, I would say, the average temperature for pouring this wax, but definitely just after you mix in that fragrance oil, if you are using the number 7, go ahead and pour and you will not go wrong. You can get a little bit of dipping by the wicks, but I've never experienced sinkholes with this wax. And it's just overall a great hot throw and much more consistent. That's what I love about it. 464, as you all know, in the last year that I used it, was just super inconsistent for me. And as I told you all, 9 good candles out of 10 is not good enough. It does not meet the standards of an Earthglow candle. So I have switched to number 7. And in the summertime, you saw me using 2 wicks. I've gone back and forth as to whether I like the double wicking or the single wicking with this wax. I think that you still get a great hot throw with a single wick. And the benefit of the single wick as well is that it just burns a little bit cooler. The 2 CDN number 2s is the smallest you can really go with the CDN series, which is what I personally prefer and have always used, that and the CD series. But the problem is that when you are using the smallest size and it's still like a little bit warmer than you would like, there's not really anywhere to go with it. So I go back and forth. I don't think they burn insanely hot, but some fragrances definitely get a little warmer than I would like. So this is the candy corn, and as I said earlier, that is the pumpkin caramel crunch fragrance by Candle Science. Not my personal favorite, but this fragrance is so popular. This is probably this year and last year my number 2 or 3 bestseller, which is crazy. So Cauldron is my number 1 bestseller, and then Autumn Leaves I think is probably number 2. It's hard for me to say. I need to go through all my data, but this is what the wax looks like as it is setting up. Harvest Moon is Fallen Leaves by Candle Science, just so you all know. And oh my goodness, you guys, I am so obsessed with how these turned out. So this wax does set up much quicker, but I still prefer to leave it overnight. And then I'll come in the next day and trim the wicks, and then I will be adding the crystals, as you can see me doing here. I generally love to add crystals to our artisan collection, spa collection, and our holiday collections and fall collection, like our seasonal ones. It's kind of my classic. This is what I started out with. And this is something that makes our candles really unique. But it takes a lot of time. As you can see, I am sitting here pressing in each individual crystal, and then you're gonna see me come through with a torch and heat gun with a butane torch, because heat guns actually create a little more air, like wind, than I would like. So I opt to use a creme brulee torch, and you'll see me just kind of just making it look a little bit nicer, right? Because when you press these in, the wax, you'll see it kind of, you see how it kind of, you can see the edges and the wax kind of, it doesn't look very smooth. So it's just gonna create a seamless finish. And I have tried putting these in as the wax is hardening, and I don't like the effect of it at all. So this is what I've settled on after 5 years of doing this. And I have had a lot of people ask me where I get the crystals. The crystals I actually source from the Denver and Tucson gem shows. So for those of you who don't know, I do have a crystal shop as well. And on Instagram, I'll put my handle on this video so you guys can check me out if you are interested. I do sell crystals as well as candles on there. You can see me going over this with the creme brulee torch, and I go on probably a medium setting, but you have to be really careful with this because the crystals can pop. So you always want to wear protective eyewear. The crystals won't pop when you're burning the candle, but when you're using the torch with, you know, an extreme amount of heat, you can sometimes get that a little bit. And then also, sometimes the crystals will move on you a little bit. So it's important to just kind of play around with it and figure out what works for you. But a lot of people do just use a heat gun for this. I just prefer the torch because it creates less wind. I just like the torch in general too, you guys. But you also have to watch it because sometimes you can set the wick on fire. I don't think I've done that for the last 2 or 3 years, but definitely in my first year doing this, I set a couple of wicks on fire, you guys. I'm not gonna lie. And just going through here with the Arboretum candles and doing the same exact thing. And so once I finish this, the last step will be adding some golden lepidolite mica to these candles. It just adds a little bit of shimmer, and I like to hand grind it myself. So you're gonna see me with like a piece of mica that I'm just kind of hand grinding over the top. And I go very, very light on the mica just because it can, if you use too much, interfere with the burn a little bit. Cotton wicks are very forgiving though in general. I found that just a teeny bit of mica doesn't really interfere with them at all, but definitely do your own testing on that. So here is the final effect. I am so happy with how these candles turned out. This is our final restock for fall. So definitely check these out on the website. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Sending all of you peace, love, and light. And I'm wishing all of you happy candle making.